All right, so we're going to take a look at how to get going with Google Drive in Python so that we can write some Python code that will upload or get files from our Google Drive account. To do this, we're going to use this package called PyDrive. I started off trying to look at using Google's own client libraries for Python, but it's kind of complicated. And someone's already done the work in simplifying this whole process and has created this wrapper to make working with Google Drive more easy, or a lot easier, by creating this PyDrive application. So I got started here, and then I decided to change course a little bit, and we're going to use PyDrive. So to install PyDrive on your Pi, run a sudo sudo pip3 install PyDrive like this. It is case sensitive, so make sure you get the P and the D capitalized. And it should go through and install PyDrive for you. So again, for me, I'm on Windows, so I did pip3 install PyDrive like this. You'll want to do a sudo before the pip3 so that you have super user access. And this should then install all of this stuff, which includes installing the Google API Python client library, so that you can work with Google and talk to Google through Python. So once that's installed, then you should be able to get started. So the quick start guide here, which I found by just go look for PyDrive documentation, and it will take you to a little quick start guide. We need to create some credentials in Google. So to do that, went to the API console. That's developers.google.com, and then clicking on the API console. I clicked enable on the enable APIs and selected the Google Drive API. And now we're at a point where we need to create some credentials. So I'm going to click create credentials from this page. We're going to be using the Google Drive API, and we're going to set up a web server. We're calling the API from a web server. It's going to be our own internal web server. So we're going to use our own computer's IP address and local web server for that. We do need the user data, so we need to get some Google user data, our own Google user data. I'm going to hit which credentials do I need. We're going to create an OAuth 2.0 client ID. So we're going to call this, give it a name that makes sense. I'm going to call mine Drive Uploader. The authorized JavaScript origins. For this, we can take from the authentication quick start guide here. So we're going to put in localhost :8080 for both the origins and the redirect URIs. So I'm going to paste that in here. Again, it should be localhost, all one word, :8080. That just gets the local host, like your internal IP address for your Pi, and it uses this particular port number. For the redirect URIs, the only difference that we need here is we need to put that slash at the end. So make sure you don't forget that slash at the end for the redirect URIs. And then hit create client ID. And this gives us our credentials, so it gives us a client ID. We need to keep this secret, so mine's going to be blurred out or blocked out, but it's a pretty long ID. Hit download once you've got that, and it should download it. I already have another one in there, so I'm going to have to rename this. But that will download your client ID. We're going to rename that file to client secrets, and we're going to put it in the same directory as wherever our code is. So I'm going to go in on my computer, show where this file is. I'm going to rename it. It's this JSON file type, so it should be client_secrets.json. We're going to move this into the same directory as our Python file that we're working with here. So I just started this file. I copy and pasted some of the sample code in. Here's where this file is. So I'm going to go to that location as well. Okay, so here's my Drive uploader file. So I want to move this client secrets into the same folder as my Drive uploader. It's going to look, whenever I run this Python file, it's going to look for this particular file name before it runs anything. So that's taken care of. We've got this in the same directory. We're going to, let's just paste in this code. I'm going to replace this stuff with that code. This will create that local web server, and it's going to handle all the authentication. So when I run this, we should get a browser window that pops up saying that it's asking for access to this. So let's choose our email address. And there's my application name, Drive Uploader, is pulled from the file, the Python file name. It wants to view and manage the files in my Google Drive, so I want to allow it. And when I allow this, this says the authentication flow is completed, so I've got permission to work with Google Drive now. And from here on out, we can, we're all authenticated. So we can start doing some things like uploading some files. So let's try this. Let's test this out with some code. So I've got this in here. I'm gonna go into my Drive Uploader window. I'm gonna just paste in that code. So this will authenticate, and then right here, we're gonna work with the Drive application. So Drive is gonna be a new instance of the Google Drive application with my authorization handled. So this will then create a file in my Drive called hello.txt. The title of it will be that. And then I'm going to set the content of the inside of that file to hello world and upload it and make sure that this works. So let's hit run. Now at this point, I get this little authentication flow is completed message again. I believe from this point I don't need to include that whole authorization step anymore. But now when I go into my Google Drive, I should see, if I go under recent, I have this hello.txt. This is uploaded at 10:24. It's 10:25, so this was just a moment ago. And the content is hello world. So if I wanted to change that, let's say I wanted to rename that file. I could rename the file pretty easily. So if I try file1 title equals hello world.txt, and then let's try that. Let's see if this works. So now when I run my module, I get that little window that pops open again saying that the authentication flow is completed. And now when I go back into my Google Drive, oh, it didn't rename it. It just created another text file. Let's see. Yeah, I just have two different text files now, apparently. So if you wanted to learn how to interact with this a little bit more, the PyDrive documentation has a whole bunch of helpful tips for getting started. If you just go to the Python package page, this is where you can see, oh, I'd have to upload it again. So once I've changed the title, you need to upload again. That almost like sets those conditions for you. So you can do all, if you go to the Python PyDrive package page on python.org, you can see a bunch of different things you can do. You can create files, you can create and upload images, all sorts of stuff. And it's all done fairly easily in Python 3.